we've got are the sheet-fed printers. This is our particular company. We've got the indigo presses. We have a Xerox colour laser. We have a black and white laser, and as I said, we have one offset machine. And then in the web-fed, we have a web-fed indigo and a web-fed inkjet. Inkjet's the new technology that's coming out. I'll get into that very soon. And as I mentioned before, the one thing about printing with lasers and indigos and things like that is the amount of heat that's involved. It does affect things physically. So it's one consideration to have, that if you go outside of the normal stocks that we use, the house stocks, have been tested, and we know how they work. We know the considerations around them. If you somehow get a very special stock, for example, the indigo. I don't know, is everyone familiar with what the indigo is? An indigo machine, let me just quickly explain. It's based on electrostatic ink. So the ink can have an electrical charge applied to it. It gets a charge. The paper has a charge applied to it. The blanket has a charge applied to it. The ink will stick to the blanket at the right point, and then the blanket comes down just like an offset press and bang, puts down a dot where it's needed. So you get a job which looks just like offset, because really the end process is just like offset. You've got ink on a blanket, bang, and it goes down with pressure and a bit of heat. The heat is because of the lasers putting the dots in the right place. So you get a really high-end print.
Do you do ultraviolet?
I think they do have one. We don't.
You don't.
If we ever need a UV spot to go on it, we'll send it out for outside finishing normally. Yeah.
Colour profiling in design stuff, does that have any, do you suggest things to designers when it's a sheet fed opposed to web fed? Like that workflow leading up, is it really hard?
We at On Demand were one of the first in the world to get an ISO accreditation for a digital press. We've since let that slide because it was more expensive than it brought in. But if you were to profile for ECI version 2, the ISO, and we did our profiling based on, we did our audit for our ISO on the now I've forgotten, on the actual PSO, on the printed sheet offset ISO number. So we followed all their rules and got our ISO that way. So, and the idea behind the ISO colour profiling and all the rest in a nutshell is basically you prepare your files to a standard, and we will print the files to a standard. And printing is all about consistency. You just do the same thing every time, and you should get consistent results as long as everything's done consistently. And the idea of the ISO was that our machines are calibrated every day, our workflows are checked and audited. Everything is done the same way every time, and the results were just fantastic. One of our clients that we still use is National Gallery, and they go to only ISO printers. They went to us because they wanted to do something short run and get the same results. And basically, they can send us something and know that it's going to print the way that they expect it to print. But that's the thing. They've set up their side of things, and that's one of the most important things. As long as it's ISO is all about the whole chain being set up. So if you set yourself up, and you don't have to join ISO and pay the registration fees and all the rest of it. They didn't. They are not accredited. They are compliant, and that's the major difference. However, I must say that 90% of the stuff is on the standard settings. On the Indigo, for example, is fantastic, and most people are more than happy with just standard settings. And in fact, we sort of get more trouble from people playing with the colour profiles than we do from just stock standard files. You just get really nice. If someone really knows what they're talking about and they tell us, right, this is an ISO file, use the correct workflow, we'll do that. But a lot of our clients are buying print from a lot of different Indigo people. So if you use the standard Indigo settings, they're going to get the same thing from us that they get from another Indigo operator. So that's probably more the place where we have to be, for better or for worse. Okay, and as I said, large format. Okay, so what things are going to affect price performance of the job? So click rates. Click rates are based on how many colours and size. So if you can get something with less colour, you're going to pay less. You're going to get it smaller, you can pay less. The more you can get up on a page, the less you're going to pay per unit that's on the page. So again, these pages are set up that 450 by 320 is set up so you can put 2 A4s, 4 A5s, 8 A6s. It's all based on the ISO sizes. So if you stick to the standard sizes, you'll get better price points for what you're doing. One that I must say is DL size. This is just one little bugbear of mine. DL size is 99 by 210. A lot of people do it 100 by 210, and it's the only one that really, because I'm not normally that pedantic about things, but when it's 100 by 210, you can't actually get 3 up across the width with enough bleed. So you can't actually put 3, so your job suddenly becomes 50% more expensive because you can only get 4 rather than 6 up on a page. So if you're going to do something DL, do it 99 by 210 exactly, unless you don't want any bleed. So that's just my one little rant over. Okay, and then speed issues is another thing. A lot of our clients, it doesn't matter what the price is, they need it and they need to get it done. One of our clients is the government, because we have a secure area that we can do stuff and we can lock up the whole place so that there's, when it goes into lockdown, no one's allowed to have mobile phones, all this sort of stuff while it goes on. And they don't care too much about price, they care about the budget comes in at 10 o'clock, it's got to be out the next morning at 8 o'clock. And they take it to the absolute limit. We pre-print the covers, but the actual text, I'll be sitting at work till 11 o'clock waiting for these guys to, is that the right thing? Should we say and or should we say or? Just tearing you out. Just decide and let's do it. But yeah, so different presses are going to give you different speed. Getting onto certain presses is going to get you speed sometimes. Sometimes you can't get onto the press that you want. Is it okay to take this job to a less high quality press, like to go down to the colour laser rather than doing colour indigo? And the other thing is how many sides you're printing. Is it going to be double-sided or single-sided, simplex or duplex? And how much extra work needs to be done, as I said before. And then the stocks. How much is going to cost you for specialist stock, and does that stock work through the machines? The indigos, because they do that static electricity thing, if it's not an indigo stock, it has to be coated with something called the sapphire coat, which allows the static electricity to work on the paper. So you've got to pre-coat the paper, and sometimes that doesn't take too well, and all that sort of stuff. However, the house stocks, we print them every day, no problems at all. I'm sorry, another thing you've got to think about with stocks is your grain direction. I don't know if people know, but paper has a grain, and it'll bend in certain ways based on the grain. So, for example, if you do a perfect book and you've got the grain going in the wrong direction, we actually had some where if you held the book like this, the whole book would open up like that, because not only did they use they give us the wrong grain direction, but it was put in the black and white laser. Two things went wrong on it, and the actual book just sat like that. And it was just bad. Someone at the mill marked it up incorrectly. Okay, and the other thing that we do, we have different rips for each of our printers and different ways that it goes through. We try to set up hot folders, so things we can standardise as many things as possible. As I said before, the thing about printing is consistency. We know that we're going to get this result from dropping it in there, and we get it every time. That's what we're going to do. The new rips and software that's available for us these days is just makes the old days look really prehistoric. They're really quick. The good thing about the rips these days is they reach backwards and forwards from the printer. You can go and see what's on the printer at any moment in time you can see what things are going on, how the route's going, how many pages it's done. At any time you've got full access to every part of it. And you can do some pretty clever things. You can put in algorithms for saying, okay, pick paper out of this tray, then this tray, then this tray, then do that for 10,000 copies and on a variable data job. So all these sort of things are getting built into the reps as we go along. It's all very good. Okay, so the Indigo 7000, which is the sheet bed, looks something like this. Okay, so it's a rather large machine. That's the speed of the paper going through it. So you're getting a really good throughput. This particular one's, for me, they put it coming out the top. Well, one of the great things about the Indigo, one of the best little pieces of software, has got this little button, and they can be printing a huge big job, and you really need this proof out, and they press this little button, and your print will come out the top. And so nothing will stop. It'll just sort of print this copy, this copy, this copy, and then suddenly you get boom, 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 your proof comes out the top, and then it'll go back to printing the ones out the bottom. So you don't need to stop a print run, you don't need to do anything, and out it comes. I just think that's fantastic because it's not. I haven't seen it available in anything else. But, okay, and then the colour laser, stock standard. These days they're doing really great things with laser. The issue with laser has been that they're putting toner down on paper, hell of a lot of ink, hell of a lot of heat, which changes. If they can't regulate that heat, it changes the colour. You get colour shifts going through it. So these days, for the really high-end lasers, they actually put spectrophotometers in line, and they'll print copies and then check the colour, and then print copies and check the colour, and print copies and check the colour. And someone got an ISO accreditation on I think it's a next gen. I wasn't involved, so I don't know exactly, but it means that they can do 50,000 sheets without 3% shift in colour, which is really pretty good. Okay, in the mono laser, we run OSAs. This particular example is just showing the tabs. I don't know if people knew that tabs could be printed straight in line. These printers are pretty fantastic. They are really quick. The way they designed these ones is that they have two laser printers next to each other, and instead of normal laser printer, you print and you duplex it and you print it again. They just put the two laser printers together and they put the paper through, and it just prints both in one shot, so it's just pumping paper through it. We'll do 1 million impressions within a week, quite easily, one machine. So we do millions and millions and millions of impressions. When you get to the web jet,